Okay, so today we are going to do linear perspective, and to do that we are going to draw an aquarium. So what you are going to need is a piece of watercolor paper. You're going to need some watercolor brushes and some blue watercolor. You're going to need some black markers, and you're going to need some crayons. So to start, and a pencil, and also a ruler. So I could not find my ruler, so I have to improvise, and I'm going to use the edge of my watercolor thing. So to start, we're going to draw a dot in the center of our paper, and that's just going to be the center point. The vanishing point is also what it's called. Then we're going to take our ruler and draw a line from that dot to the corner of our paper. So since I don't have a ruler, I have to use this as my edge. And just make sure you don't press too hard. You're just pressing really lightly. So find a straight edge, preferably a ruler, but I cannot find mine. And draw some lines from that dot, the vanishing point, to the outside. Okay, so make sure you can see my lines coming out. Okay, so we used our straight edge to draw a straight line from the center vanishing point to the corners, and then we're going to measure out about, let's see, I did about 4 centimeters each, and so I took my vanishing point, came down to the center, put 2 lines, and then put a line in between those 2. So this is my center. I'm going to draw a dot here. This is my center. I'm going to draw a dot here. And then I'm going to put my finger on that dot and find the center between that right here. And put my finger on this dot and that dot and put another dot on the center. And so from there, we're going to find a straight edge. I'm going to use this one instead and draw a straight line from that dot to the vanishing point, or from the vanishing point to the dot. And make sure you're not pressing too hard. I just pressed really hard, so that's why I'm reminding you. Not to press too hard. So the best way to do linear perspective really is to use a ruler using that straight edge. Okay, and then again we're going to use our ruler, and we are going to draw about 5 lines coming up. So using that straight edge, and we're just doing it from this line to that line. Over across of it. Move across. A straight line. See? A straight line across. In your squares, you make the gap a little bit bigger each time. There we go. Okay, so we drew horizontal lines from these 2 diagonal lines going straight across, and this is our tile floor, so you can start to see that tile floor. And then on top, we are going to do a curve to make it look like the top of the aquarium. So we're going to do maybe 4 or 5. 6 here, maybe 6. No, 4 or 5. 1, and you're just going to do a curve, kind of like our spider webs. 2. And a trick to doing this is you don't want to draw from your wrist, you want to draw with your whole hand. And that can kind of give you much better shapes because our whole arm makes a more of a straight angle than our wrist would make. There we go. And then from each of these lines, we are going to draw a straight line straight down to this diagonal line. So here, this is curved, we're going to do a straight line. So we can use our ruler again. And you want to measure from that dot of the curve straight down. Voila. Okay, same thing on this side. From the dot of the curve straight down to the diagonal line. Okay. There we go. So we have our outline, our basis for the aquarium. Sorry, when I move my hand, it's hard for you to see. Now for the fun part, we get to color this stuff in. So what we're going to do is now I'm going to put up a couple of different animals up on the screen, and you are going to color the animals in. Actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and do our tile. And we're going to do our tile with a black marker, okay? And that way you're not tempted to color the floor because our animals are going to be up in here in the aquarium. So we want to trace these lines on the bottom with a black marker. I prefer using a very thin marker. You can use whatever you want, but the thinner I think the better, as long as it works, which this one might not. Boom. Ha. And so we are just doing the tile floor, and then we're going to do the fun part of drawing your different animals. Oh my goodness, this isn't working. Let's try this one. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna come in and erase these pencil lines. Straight over. So I guess you will need an eraser, and I didn't put that on. Now you don't have those pencil lines. Perfect. Okay, so come in and we are going to color them checkered style. So you skip every other one. So starting up top. With your black marker, or I guess if you want your floor to be a different color, you can pick another color too. So I think I might make my floor, because the water is going to be it's going to be a cool color. I think I might make my floor like a bright orange or something to cover up all the white space. Well, I'm actually going to use this highlighter. So it's going to go black, skip, black, we're using a lot of mixed media for this project. We're using crayons, we're using marker, we're using watercolor, skip, black. So a trick here is you can color the outline. And then you can just come in and do big strokes down the middle. Okay, and then we want to skip that one and do the one at the diagonal. Skip. I'm going to make this line straighter. So don't lose sight of your pattern. This is really, really easy to mess up, to do the wrong color, to color the wrong square. So just really think before you color each square. Don't lose sight of your pattern. So this is just like a chessboard. You may want to switch to a thinner marker towards the bottom. There we go. Now color your other shape. So I'm just using a highlighter just because I think that will be kind of cool to use for it to be a little lighter than a regular marker. But it's also won't show up over the black, which is kind of nice because I don't have to worry about making my lines super, super straight. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to put some creatures up for you to draw and take your time drawing with a crayon. So we want to use the crayon because we're going to do a watercolor resist. So you are going to press really hard with the crayon and create your creatures. I don't want you to copy me, that's why I'm going to post them up here of the actual creatures. But for example, if you are making a jellyfish, you want to push really hard so that when we come over with watercolor, it's not the wax in the crown will resist it. All right, check out these creatures. Okay, so once you have all your creatures, what you're going to do is come in with your watercolor, and because we're making an aquarium, we want it to be darker towards the bottom and lighter on the sun, because the top, that would mean where the sunlight is coming from on the top. So get your paintbrush wet, get your color, blue probably for the water, but hey, if you have some fun color water, more power to you. But what you want to do is make sure that you get the bottom of it, and you're going to paint right over top of it because it's a crown resist, but we want to make sure the bottom is darker than the top. So I'm starting at the bottom and I'm adding water and I'm coming up to the top. Maybe you should think about it in each panel instead, like where you've divided your lines, and you add water and you come up to the top. That's actually a good way to think about it. And then going to the next panel, getting it darker at the bottom, putting a pigment on it, and then adding water as I come up to the top. Uh-oh, that crayon is really waxy. Coming to the bottom using a lot of pigment, kind of dabbing up, making it look like water. And when it starts to dry, adding more water to it will make it lighter, just like we did value a couple of weeks ago. That's kind of what we're doing here, is adding that value so it looks darker at the bottom and lighter at the top. Adding my pigment, starting at the bottom, and then when my paint starts to dry, adding more water. And so my shark might look white, but I actually used a white crayon to over it so that it would actually be white. And if you do too dark of a spot like I did here, you just come in and add water to it, and that lightens it up. All right. Starting on this side, adding pigment to make it dark on the bottom, rising up. Just adding water so that it's lighter on the top. Pigment, starting at the bottom, painting straight over your crown, adding water as you come up to the top. Pigment on the bottom. Adding water. And then at the very top, I'm just doing a very light blue. And then you can add water to sort of spread the colors together. Kind of make them all one. A little bit darker right here. Okay, so let's let it dry, and watercolor doesn't take too long to dry. And then we are going to come back in with our black marker or Sharpie. Okay, so I've waited for my picture to dry, and again, I'm going to use my ruler just to make sure these lines are super straight. And my knot ruler, and I'm going to outline these lines with Sharpie. Oh, my paper's still a little wet, so definitely wait till it's completely dry. Go straight over your guys. I'm gonna do the circles first. And why I recommend Sharpie is just that Sharpie goes right over really well. over your crayon, it'll go over your watercolor. Uh-oh. And then drawing straight down. And great job, guys. We did it. We did our linear perspective. Color that in more. Awesome.